Hello, welcome back. Welcome to episode 2. I am joined by a very special friend here, Marisa Maher. Would you like to introduce yourself and all the different things you've been doing?
Yes. So my name is Marisa Maher, like you said, and I know Jerome from York College. We had a great time in college together. Um, and then I since have moved back to Oklahoma City, where I went to high school and partially grew up. And I have a lot of hats. So I've always been an athlete, and I've continued my collegiate athlete career to now a CrossFit career. I guess you could call it that. I coach and I compete. It's a lot of fun. And then I run a business with Cutco Cutlery, and I've had that business for it'll be 10 years, June 29th. So my anniversary is coming up.
Good
Um,
anniversary.
it is, yes. And I so that's been like that was my full-time job for a long time, and then I wanted to pursue some more growth in the B2B arena, so I took on a job with Centos. So that's my full-time career, 40 hours plus a week right now. Started that November 8th of 2018, and then I have a couple other entrepreneurial, I don't know, side gigs, hustles, whatever you want to call them. Particularly, I'm an advocate with Five Rings Financial, and I have started my book very brief, like teeny scratched surface, but that is something else. And I have some other business ideas I'm laying the foundation for. So lots of hats.
Yeah.
I try not to chase too many rabbits at once, because I realize I can't do it all at one time. So that's where we can talk a little bit more deeper on like phases and planning and seasons and stuff like that. But
Yeah, for those of you
there's
who
me.
don't know her, she was this way in college too. Like I'd say, "Where's Marissa?" Oh, she's working on school. Where's Marissa? She's doing this, she's doing that. She's always doing something.
Yeah, I'm
But with a
not good at being
smile,
bored.
a big thing is you do it with a smile. There are a lot of people that'll stretch themselves so much and then just get stressed out.
Yeah, I can't pretend that that doesn't happen sometimes.
Right.
And sometimes my body stops me and crashes, and I have to sleep for like 2 days. But
But
it's rare.
even if you're hiding it, I know I've hit it before. You generally have a smile with what you do.
Well, thanks. It means a
Yeah,
lot. I have a lot of joy out of it. I don't choose to do very much that I don't want to be doing or like to do.
that's
So
huge. That's huge because there's so many people that have no idea what they want to do.
yeah, and I've experienced some of that too, so I can empathize. I've I've had some interesting seasons in life with that, and then it's kind of funny because um, basically, like I can empathize with that, but then I also like can't. It's hard to kind of explain with that. But I've been through some. What do I want to do with my life? Like just like that big picture thinking can sometimes,
Yeah.
get even me a little bit scared and overwhelmed. And so that's where I just try to focus on like, okay, why do I want this? And then maybe I'm in this season for a reason, or I'm doing these things for something else. Or maybe this is part of my purpose. And so I explore that a lot, and I'm not afraid to dig into that, um, and I'm not afraid to also do something I don't like for another reason if I know it's temporary, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah. So you're willing to take those chances and those risks and those failures because it could just be a season.
Right.
Wow. That's actually I just kind of processed that and I've never thought about it that way before. So I
Hey,
want
well,
go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm glad light bulbs are already going off.
Yeah. I did want to get into, and we talked about a little bit, your Cutco time because you said you worked there for 10 years. How have you been associated with them and what kind of effects it has had on your life?
Oh yeah, I love my intro story to this is quite interesting. So I don't know if you remember, Jerome, when I tore my ACL.
I do.
So right after my freshman year of college basketball, and this is like so heartbreaking because it was right after my conversation with the coach and said she was building a program around me. And so like college sports were setting up really, really well. And my trajectory there was like dreams coming true, right? And I tore my ACL like second week I came back home and was playing some pickup basketball. Well, I was hoping to work at a restaurant, be a waitress, make some summer money, kind of the normal stuff, especially for a freshman. I wasn't ready to get into the internships and stuff yet with pre-med. And so the tearing my ACL pretty much like ruined my like summer plans to work.
Mm.
So I started kind of recovering, and I got this letter in the mail that said this company, Vector Marketing, was expanding and hiring, and they were paying $15 base pay. And I was like, what is this? And so I went in for my mom goes, if you go in and it's Cutco, you do it. I've had Cutco for 20 years and I want more, and I haven't been able to find a rep. So I was like, okay. And she goes, if it's insurance, run, because no one's going to buy insurance from a 19-year-old. So I was like, okay, like that was not the conversation I was expecting to have. And I was like, yeah, we'll see if I can even do the job, because I've got a brace and crutches still, and I don't know how much like when I'll be able to actually walk. And by the time I'm really recovered, I have to go back to school. So I found out it was Cutco in the interview, and I got the job. I was stoked. I was sweating in my seat. Like, I did not know if I was gonna get hired, and it's crazy because that changed my life. So I signed up for the training or whatever, and then my first weekend, I sold $4,400, which earned me 3 commission tiers, like promotions, and I made $700. And I was literally, my mindset was 10 appointments a week so I can make $150, and I was stoked about that at this age. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is so much better than any other summer job, because I can go to my physical therapy and all that stuff. And so my mind like was blown, because I was like, oh my goodness, so I can be paid what I'm worth, right? Like, if I'm going to be better than the next person or do something or bring results, I can get paid for that versus just paid for hourly. And this is not to put down any hourly person, but it was something that clicked in my head, that I don't have to just clock in and clock out. And so that brought a lot of value to me. And then that summer I made $5,000 as a student in a month and a half. And then I positioned myself to get into assistant manager stuff for the next summer and everything like that. And then my manager even mentored me and had me read several books throughout the school year too. So those were helping me grow personally. I was reading stuff for John Maxwell and things like that. And so that literally like changed my life, my mentality, my mindset, and there's a lot of other foundational things, but that's kind of how I got into it. I did some assistant manager stuff the next couple summers, and then I opened my own branch the last, what was supposed to be my last year of York, but then I decided to come back for 2 extra years. But I opened
Oh
my
no.
own manager position. So I like, oh, can you hear me? Are we
Yeah, you're
cutting out?
there. You're there.
Okay, we're there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to like negotiate and find like the lease for, it was only a 3 months deal. So that was quite interesting. Set up my phones, hire receptionists, hire a sales team and train them. It was crazy.
So
But that was such a good experience. So
you pretty much went from a position where you were a leader, you were going through the typical system that most college students do, most people do in general, to all of a sudden you're running things, you're learning on the fly, and it's placing a high amount of value on what you do.
yeah,
That's,
it's
and
wild.
you were like, how old were you when this started happening?
Well, I think I was 18 my first summer I got the job. And then I ran a branch when I was 20 years old. And then I was just doing it part-time, and then I took it full-time after I graduated York.
Mhm.
Full-time, I mean, just as like my job to start kind of paying for stuff and bills, while I was studying for my MCAT and training to go pro in basketball. And yeah, and then it took off, and then I decided I didn't want to study 6 to 8 hours a day. I was like, I'd rather run a business. And that was a really hard conversation with my parents. They wanted me to be a doctor really bad. It took me a good like 2 years of really searching and accepting that I didn't necessarily want to go to med school, because the reason I wanted to go to med school was to be a doctor, to help others, to have my own business, run my own practice, and so I have freedom and flexibility, and then more importantly, go on mission work, um, and give back. And then I was already doing that. Like, I was going on those LST trips.
Yeah.
I went to Haiti on the medical mission trip. I was traveling, and I had more freedom as a business owner than I would going through medical school the next 9 years of my life and missing potentially out of my 20s. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. And if I fail, if I suck, if I hate my life, I can go back to medical school when I'm 30. So here I am. So, anyways,
and
nothing against that path. It's a beautiful path, but
well, it's not designed for everyone. I would say
no,
that it's probably more designed. It's designed not designed for most people
yeah, it's a tough one.
because I mean, you've seen the steps that I've taken in my past. It's not normal at all.
And that
So
doesn't make it wrong or bad.
no,
It could be so beautiful and be better
yeah,
for each individual. And I think that's what we all have to kind of accept. I don't know, I think everybody's in a different spot, but my parents were very strict and I just always wanted to make them proud. So that was very, I feel like it was my first like big step into adulthood,
mm,
kind of telling them like, this is actually not the path I want. Like, it's tough. I think we all have those moments though, where we
yeah,
start to break away from our parents in a different way. And that was a big one for me.
yeah.
So,
And like, what other challenges were you faced with when you were stepping into this? Because obviously it wasn't guided for you, so there had to be struggles you went through.
oh man, I mean, there definitely, I mean, entrepreneurship is not the easiest thing in general. Although I will say it felt like so much just like lined up. I don't know how to explain it. Like it all just aligned. It was almost just like God was keeping me there, like with Cutco. I
Yeah,
never thought that selling knives would be like my purpose, right? I never thought I'd be in sales, actually. We can go back to that. When I sold Girl Scout cookies, I struggled. Like the easiest thing to sell on the planet.
Thin
You
mints.
just try. Yes, Thin Mints are amazing. I have some frozen in my freezer right now. And so, but I struggled with that. And I think it's just like, I found that I just had to believe in it. Um, if I believe in what I'm sharing or talking about or selling, then I'm 100% on board. But if I don't believe in it, I'm not very good at it. I'm not one that can sell ice to Eskimos. Like
Yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
type that I can only sell what I believe in and what will add value to a person. So I guess I could sell already like pre-made bricks if it's going to make their life easier and add value to them. But I'm not going to just sell them something they that's not good for them or what's going to benefit their lives.
And how much
So I
would
think that was a struggle. Sorry, go on.
yeah, I was gonna say how much would you say your faith has kind of formed that idea? Because in Christianity we're built on believing in what we
Yeah.
don't see. So how much of that has formed into your workflow through your faith?
Oh my goodness. I think my faith is such a huge part of it, because especially with like entrepreneurship and running a business, you have to have some sort of faith, and sometimes that's just in yourself if you're not a Christian. But when I really put my faith in God, like I feel spirit guided. I get way more in alignment, way more clarity. I feel like I communicate and connect with people on such a deeper level. And then it's crazy because my sales and my income and everything else seems to follow. When I'm going through really like tough times, I see the beauty or the gift in those times versus just the like frustration. And I mean, I've had a lot of frustration and difficult times in the last few years. I look at like 2018 and I just think of it as like dark cloud. It's just my dark year. It was awful. Like there was just a lot of struggles.
Yeah,
But I had some really high highs. Like I had like super high highs, but I had like rock bottom lows. And I'll tell you, I was in a rough place in my faith. Like um, I just went through some kind of rocky, rough waters where I was trying to, I think, put it all on myself and take
mm,
over everything and control it and just really um, take too much ownership versus just surrendering to him and his will. And then just lately, I've been doing that, and I was recently convicted by a sermon by Robert Morris. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but about tithing. And
yeah,
I had gone away from it because I got into a couple of speed bumps with my financial trajectory, because I made too much money too quickly, and I didn't understand taxes in the 1099 world. and to save for taxes. And I think we were talking about this earlier, but I don't think we were started on the podcast yet. But my passion and the fact that like I was set up for success in a lot of ways. My parents did really, really good, and I was very educated. But money was not something I was really taught. And my parents said that they wanted to talk about that, but it just never got in the calendar. Like they
Mm.
never booked it. We never planned the time to actually go over it, and it's not taught in our schools. And so like my whole thing was just always earn more money than you spend, and so I just keep earning more and more money. But then there's a point where you have to catch up.
Yeah.
um, and I like I said, I didn't understand the 1099, so I worked myself to death because I was trying to outwork my mistakes. And so it's just been very interesting. So I've learned so much in the last few years just about that. But I'll be real, I wasn't tithing for a couple of years, and it's crazy. I just started tithing in January, and then it's just like everything back in my life. Like I literally told God, I was just like, "Hey, I am finally really surrendering to you. I've been convicted for a reason, and here you go. Like I'm trusting you, and like, but I need you to provide for me because I have struggled to provide for myself." And it's been like that they say the floodgates of heaven open up. It's
Yeah.
like so. I feel like I'm just another one of those stories because you hear this story over and over. At least I do in my faith, and it's like, but it's crazy how real it is and how unexplainable it is too sometimes because you're just like that made no sense that that happened. It seems like pure luck, but
Yeah.
you have to just see God and the Holy Spirit through it. So
It's an interesting time for me too because I had a dark path probably I would say this past year. Really dark. I got into or I was doing self isolation before people were, and just getting in my own
yeah,
head. But I've been kind of challenging myself with the idea of Jehovah Jireh, which is God the provider, and seeing the many
love
different
it.
ways that understanding how God provides. And it's always cool to hear that from other people, seeing that um, seeing that happen because it's so hard. It's so easy to get locked up in ourselves, and placing it on
Mhm.
someone who can handle it is not easy.
No, it's hard to ask for help. That's something else like I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. So that's been a whole deal. But we all love to help. God made
Yeah,
us like people as humans, like we want to add value, we want to help. It's the whole like receiving thing, right? It's like it's um we need to be good receivers so other people can be good givers.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I had this conversation with Andrew in the last podcast about this. I get a lot of value of being social and just reaching out, and like it's the
Mhm.
main reason why this podcast started because I'm trying to place value on other people's lives and everything they do, not just for the sake of just helping them. It's just how I'm wired.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah, and I also did want to talk about some of the other stuff that you were and that you're involved with currently because specifically the CrossFit Home Base Center really caught my attention because when I snooped on your profile,
Mhm.
um, I noticed it has a ton of motivation. I know it has a lot of involvement and a lot of reaching towards everyone's a part of it. It's like its own little family. Can you just
Yeah,
can you talk about how you got involved with that and what it's doing for you currently?
for sure. So I joke that CrossFit is like church for your workouts. Um, it's definitely how the church should be if not every church is like this, because there's just such a community around these people. Um, so I started CrossFit, oh, it was 2014, I think, 2015. No, 2015. It was like a year after I graduated York. And it was at Zombie Bunny CrossFit, and this place was awesome. I just started it for truly the pure fitness of it. So I was pursuing professional basketball at that time. I don't know if we talked much about this, but I got letters my senior year about trying out for going overseas. And I had actually got scouted out. That's how I got those letters. I thought they were just sent to like every senior, but I talked to some people, and apparently I was the only one at York that got one. And so I was like, okay, I'll just give this a shot for 2 years. and then if I don't make it, like I'll move on with my life. But um, so I was training really hard. I was at this track, and then one of the CrossFit owners was there for his son doing track stuff. And he was like, "What do you train for?" And I was telling him my story. He's like, "You should come to CrossFit sometime. Just come for a free class, see how it is." And I instantly fell in love. I was training 4 to 8 hours a day. And I felt like I got like so much out of that hour, just the intensity wise and everything that they did. And I got hooked. So I started doing CrossFit there, loved it for a couple of years. Unfortunately, that gym closed down, and it was right after I got my L1 certificate to start coaching.
Mm.
And then I had gone to a competition at CrossFit Home Base. I loved their mission. Derek is the owner there, and he's a veteran, and CrossFit kind of like saved his life. He talks a lot about it because he was going through suicidal thoughts and a lot of other things. But the community and the like focus on health and wellness and like just the way that CrossFit is saved him. So he wanted to start a gym to help others and impact the community. And so I loved his vision. And so then he offered me a coaching position. So I started coaching part-time and working out there, and I love it. It's been so cool to see the gym grow. We've actually moved to a bigger location since the first one I went to. And that gym just keeps exploding. And then it's been a huge part of me getting through the quarantine because Derek asked me to kind of lead a team. So we made a small team within our community family. It's totally family.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and so, and then I had kind of my own little Facebook group we started, and accountability, and a couple of us that were healthy and either still working or kind of just knew the risks have met at parks and stuff like that to get some workouts in, some social distancing, safe workouts. And then one or two had come to my like little household gym, and we wiped down everything before and after. But it was just great because it was just like the light amongst all the like crazy, and one thing that we kind of were able to keep doing steadily and focus on our health and wellness and pushing ourselves in that way. So yes, it's a huge portion of my life, best part of my day. I look forward to it each day, and um, it's phenomenal. So unless
Yeah.
if you want me to go into deeper about that, we can.
No, no, no. I was really like, it caught my attention when I went through it because of all the stuff they choose to do, and they stay so connected. And this is just a side note. I'll be
Yeah.
happy when quarantine is over because I want to hug people again.
For real, it's so bad. I bet these love language people with physical touch are like dying right now. Like
Yeah.
just inside. Mine's quality time and acts of service. So
I try to hug my brother, but he says I don't hug you.
aren't you living together in quarantine? Is this like
Yeah. Well, I
that's
can get it from the kids whenever I want, so.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
but yeah.
I miss
Well,
hugs too.
it's a running joke. We have a picture somewhere of my younger brother and I and him in the middle because he doesn't like to hug us. And we're both on the outside of him just hugging him, and you could see his face of disgust, and we're both smiling.
That's hilarious. I love it.
So
Now you're making me miss my sister. But she's up in Nebraska, and they're apparently stricter over there right now. Like
yeah.
if she left and came to Oklahoma, she'd have to be quarantined for 2 weeks up there.
Yeah, because that's who I found out that you had offers for overseas was through your sister
Oh,
for
cool.
basketball, because your senior year I didn't see you hardly ever.
I know. I
Yeah.
saw I mean, I tried to still be social, but that was kind of a point in my life too where I was just kind of head to the grindstone.
Yeah.
There was a lot. And this my first senior year or my second senior year?
I I
Was
don't
this
know.
2012 or 14?
I don't know. I technically had 3 junior years.
Right? It's part of the journey.
Yeah. Of
York
course.
College.
Yeah, of course. I wouldn't change a thing. No.
I agree.
Even though I owe a lot of debt to them, there was a lot of amazing people I met there and have a lot of connections. And it was a good place to grow and just try different things in faith. So
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
So, and what's funny is a lot of people complained about the curfew and the rules, and I'm pretty sure I had more freedom than I did back at home. If that tells you anything about my upbringing. So, for those of you who did not go to York College, there is a curfew at midnight that you have to be back in your dorm room for those who are in the dorms. Um, and then there's a lot of pretty strict rules there.
Yeah, but at the same time, it helped. Like when you're just out of your family's house for the first time, most people are gonna
Yeah.
go crazy.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice to have something there to like, okay, calm down.
Right. There's a little bit of a mitigator.
Yeah, even though because most people were super upset, but I mean, by the end of it, no one cared.
Right. Exactly. For sure. And
uh,
I'm a heathen now, and now I drink wine on a semi-regular basis. But
I don't drink any alcohol. See, you're near something that I drink a lot though. You're one state away from the headquarters of Dr. Pepper, and I drink way too much of that.
ah, yeah, I don't touch soda, and I don't know the last time I had soda. I think I had one cherry Coke from Del Taco like 3 months ago, but
I need to stop. I could quit anytime, I promise.
we all
uh,
have our vices. It's fine.
yeah. I was gonna ask, do you have any future projects that you wanted to bring up and potentially that you're trying to build towards, or you probably already talked about them? You mentioned the book.
Yeah, so I mentioned my book. That's something, and it's going to be about financial stuff, about all the things I wish I knew, like going into young adulthood. Um, and so hopefully I can help other young adults, and then even people that are good at money. You can always grab nuggets from those kind of things. But so that's a project that's underway. Um, and then my other one is my app. So I was talking to you a little bit about this. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to get that going. That one is one of those that could be, if it all like, if it's God's timing and it works out in the next year, great. If that's like a 3 to 5 year plan, that's fine. I just have the brainchild and I
Yeah.
want it to exist eventually. Mainly because I'm selfish and I want to use the app. But I mean, I guess that's where a lot of great business ideas come from, though, right? You see the problem in the world that you want to solve and fix it.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I am very much at peace with being more in the business world than going necessarily down the pre-med path. Is I get these creative ideas and I see problems that I want to help fix and solve. And when I can fill those needs, I feel like that is my ultimate calling, or like why God put me here. Um, and so there's my app, and maybe we can go into that more if you want to hear more about that. And then I've had like one or two other business ideas. One is I really do want to open a gym one day.
Yeah.
They're not sometimes they can be money sucks more than they can be money makers. And I'm not in it all for the money. But I want to be in a financially more like stable place before I do that, because that's just what I would want to do with my time, is be at the gym basically most of the day if I
Yeah.
could do anything with my time. So, and I love what CrossFit Home Base has done for me, and I want to just continue to be an extension of that. So I'd probably open another CrossFit Home Base, but just
Yeah.
another location. But that's down the road. And there's a lot of things I would want to do with that too. I want to be a full nutrition solution and some other stuff there. Not just coaching, but providing, like have like a meal prep service in my gym, because then you can just get
Or
it while you're there.
showing up to one of the people that you have underneath you, showing up at McDonald's, knocking their food out of their hand like that one guy did.
Yeah, that would be pretty epic. We can make some gifts like that.
There was, I don't know if you ever saw the video, but there was this guy who's just jacked out of his mind, and he had one of his guys that he'd been training. He walks into McDonald's because he sees him in there, no shirt on,
Uh-oh.
knocks the food out of his hand, says, "Give me 20 push-ups right now."
That is epic. Oh my word. That's so funny. It's like I'm always watching you. So, and then I have another one that I think I'm too little too late on. So I had this epiphany one time when I was getting a massage. So I'm young adult, single, and I don't like going to the movies by myself. But there's a lot of new movies that I'd want to see.
Mm.
and that my boyfriend and I don't have time to go to or whatever. And I'd love to just, I really wanted to watch like The Joker at like 10:30 at night one night
Yeah.
on a Tuesday,
Oh,
and
okay.
I would have paid premium money to stream that and been
Yeah.
like on a streaming service. So I wanted to start a streaming service for like new releases, basically. And then families could save money because if they have like 8 kids or even just 3 or 4, they could do movies at home. And I don't think it would totally take from the theaters. And I was thinking of different ways to make that. But basically, that was the premise: was I wanted a
I
streaming service for new releases.
I'm
Blech.
confused about one statement you made there. You said you're
What's
young
that?
and single, and said your boyfriend.
Oh, no, so I have a boyfriend. I would say single, not as in not married yet, and stuff like that. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am not on my like applications and medical things. I'm officially single,
Well, you're
but I
not
have a
you're not
boyfriend.
married. Yeah, yeah.
No, not
Okay.
married. Yes,
Well, that's exciting. That's
yes.
exciting. That way you don't have to deal with so much the craziness anymore of the dating world.
Oh yes, yeah. It that is wild right now. God bless people that are dating in this quarantine time.
I'm no closer than I was 10 years ago.
Oh,
But it's fine.
maybe,
Uh,
maybe you're closer than you think. God's
maybe.
God still worked on you. So,
Well, yeah.
anyways.
He's probably helping me try to make myself look less like a bobblehead.
You do not look like a bobblehead. I have never thought that once in my life of
Well, you
knowing
saw
you.
me when I was in shape. I weigh less now. No. What was I do want to close this by asking if there was the biggest piece of advice because you went through a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, a lot of struggles,
Yeah.
and you still kept pushing forward. What would be your biggest advice to someone who's curious about stepping into entrepreneurial or creative, for that matter?
Yes. Wow. So that there's actually probably a bigger and earlier answer to that than you were anticipating was asking that question. Um, but so I to hit on the creative part first. I read a book recently called Creative Calling.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful book. Highly recommend reading it. But for me, it lit me up because it was just create something daily. Just work a little bit on it. Just do something each day, and then you find what you're good at, what you're bad at, what you actually love, and what lights you up. But he's under just a huge belief that a lot of us as humans are meant to create. Like that is what God put us here for. Like that's why we love art and beauty and have
Mm-hmm.
so much of that. So my first thing for my advice to someone is just start creating something, whether that's like Instagram videos or funny videos, memes, you're painting, art, photography, you're writing. There's so many ways we can create.
Yeah.
Um, and so just start playing because you can really, there's a lot there to that. So one of the things with Cutco, one of the foundational things my trainer said when I first started was champions find a way. And that's been kind of like my life mantra for anything. So it's just basically you don't make excuses, or you own the excuses and the reasons, but you find a way and a solution, and you can always be resourceful. And so you just keep asking your questions to continue to find the answers, or to involve others that can help you, or to ask for help, or um, to just be open minded to more resourcefulness, and ask God for help, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, and so I believe it's kind of the whole if there's a will, there's a way. And then something that's really been kind of my mantra during this quarantine time has been accept and adapt. Um, it's definitely not the first problems any of us have gone through, or the first tough time in our lives, or first emotional rough patch, or whatever we're all dealing with, or it may be the first time you've lost a career, but I guarantee you it's like probably not going to be the last or the first time that you might have a financial struggle, or some people might be doing better than ever because they've learned to be resourceful, or they've find what they're passionate about. um, but if you just look at humanity and trends, like you can see someone being successful in any environment. The more adaptable you are, you can always find a way um, to be successful with no matter what's going on externally. And one way you can do that is to create a good environment for yourself.
Mm.
And that's with who you surround yourself with. That's with what you fill your mind with. What books are you reading? Or are you spending more time on YouTube and Facebook than you are reading your Bible or a book that is filling your mind with actually, like, stimulating or empowering things? Um, and so for me, I had to really look at that. And I'm not normally, I hate living out of fear. That's not a thing for me. I love to live from a place of abundance. Um, I've had those patches where I start to live in fear, and that's when I'm most miserable. 2018 was a year that I really started to take ownership and be upset at myself for a lot of
Mm.
the problems I'd created in my own life. And so I was wanting to fix it. And so sometimes that fear drove me, but it wasn't in a healthy way. um, and so it's, I had to just kind of step back a little bit when this quarantine stuff started. And I will be real, I had some emotions. I got really angry. I was mad for small businesses that had to shut down. I was mad my gym was closed. But I would definitely say it was more of a social justice anger, um, over just a lot of people that I knew that were going to be impacted and affected. Um, and so I had to just like step back and own that and be real with myself on that, and then accept it, and then just, okay, so how do I deal with this? How do I adapt? What's something I can do, and who can I influence? And instead of focusing on such a huge, overwhelming picture, I focused on my 10 people from my CrossFit gym that I
Mm.
could love on and influence. I focused on making myself the best version I could be during this. I focused on instant toss serving my customers in the best way that I could and continuing to get better at that. And then with Cutco, still trying to learn and adapt to the situation. And it's funny because I actually got mad that my regular job got way busier and that I couldn't pour into adapting more in my Cutco business.
Mm.
And as far as like the learning and the planning, and then like being able to execute because of where the hours were that I could work. And then I had to accept that. Hey, right now my season is not um, exploding my Cutco business right now. Like I can do what I can, but I have to just accept and own where I'm at, and that I'm in a very good place, and just be grateful for that. And um, live day by day. Day by day has been my biggest thing. And I think what's cool with this quarantine is it has taught a lot of us to be present, in the moment, because we don't know what's going to happen 3 hours from now. It seems like something else is on the news. Wear masks, don't wear masks. Like,
Yeah.
don't go into public, or, oh, now we need herd immunity. Like, whatever it is, like, um, don't breathe on someone else, or test your breathing, or like, stuff is changing every day.
Yeah.
And but that's actually how real life is.
Yeah.
It's just now we're all present together and dealing with one big theme. And I don't know, I think there's been a lot of great things coming from it, and I think there's going to be even more that does come from it. But it just depends on what you focus on, because what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
um, and so by focusing on the right things, it'll take you to the right places. So hope that
I
helps. That was
yeah.
long.
Ah, well, I mean, that's part of the reason why I invited you on, because I know you'd fill the content for me. No.
Well, good.
No, but I mean, obviously, I brought you here because I felt you had something to provide, and
Thank you.
I want to see you succeed, because you've always been someone who's busy, who's always been someone going, and regardless if that's like huge financial success or just outreach, I know just stepping out and doing something will help you in the long run. So
Thank you.
yeah, and
I,
what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I hope it's a little bit of both of that, because I want to hit financial success mainly so I can impact and help a lot of other people. So
Yeah.
my dream was always to be a philanthropist as like a kid.
Actually, it's funny for me. Mine, when I was a kid, was to be a comic book artist.
That is awesome. Are you drawing comics?
I haven't been drawing comics, but I do draw. I don't. You haven't seen the dragon that I have you?
No, you should totally show me.
I brought it up on the last podcast, dude. It's on my Facebook profile. I
Cool.
drew. I It took me 2.5 months to do the dots, or a month and a half. I can't remember. I did pointillism, and then I
Yeah, those are amazing when they come out right. Those take a lot of patience.
yeah. Oh, I was dreading it, but I'm happy with the result, and I scanned it onto my computer and colored it on Paint.net program. But
Now I'm gonna have to go do some creeping on your page. I'm totally going to. I'm
that's
excited.
fine. That's fine. I hope you find the leprechaun dance video that Letitia put up there a while ago. I might make another one because she just graduated from med school. So
Congrats to her. That's so amazing. Oh,
yeah. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
You definitely need to do a leprechaun dance for her. That's a huge deal.
Well, yeah, she was the one who recorded the original one, so it's only fair.
It is only fair. And
It's
now I need
super
to go
good.
back to medical school and graduate just so I can get a leprechaun dance. Dang
No,
it.
yeah, you get. I'd have to think of something different for you because that's special for her.
Okay, that's fair. I can't steal that. Can't steal her thunder.
She
That's
doesn't
very
even know
true.
that it's happening yet, so.
I know, right? Watch her like listen to this podcast and be like, "What the heck?"
Oh, that would be awesome if she did. That would be
It
awesome.
would be.
So,
It'd be great.
I miss you. Someday,
I
when all
miss you
this
too.
quarantine is over, I'll come down there and tell horrifying stories to your boyfriend. And
Perfect. Sounds great. I will look forward to it. And maybe I need to go up to Wisconsin and try some cheese curds.
oh yeah,
So,
they're addicting. They're not helpful for a diet, but but
yeah,
they
there's
are.
some yin and yang. You gotta enjoy life a little bit.
But they're
But
delicious. And
I
you'll hear.
actually had cheese curds for the first time last night.
Were they deep fried?
Yeah, and beer batter, and they like melted in my mouth. And I
Yeah.
was just like, what is this? This is like from Satan because it's gonna make me so fat.
Well, that's
uh,
essentially a Wisconsin cheese curd, but with Wisconsin cheese. That's the only
right.
difference.
Well, exactly.
So
You just gotta go to the source sometimes.
yeah, yep. I thank you for being a part of this. It's always good to hear from you. I want to talk
You
to you
too.
for a little bit after we get done recording.
So
So
perfect. Sounds good.
thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.